Recording is on. Okay, hey everyone. So, Alani, hello. This is Lydia Catterall coming at us from Brum.
Well, I'm in Leeds today. I split my time between two cities, so I'm in Leeds.
We're
today.
in Leeds, not far from Wigan.
They're not so far, but nowhere's far from anywhere in England. It's tiny, so.
Coach Paul is from Wigan, Asha.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They know each other, I'm sure. I mean, it's a small place.
There's only like 12 people here. It's fine.
This would be art chat number 5, maybe. And listen, all the world out there that follows Mr. Austin's art chat. I don't know what's happening today with this young lady, and we're winging it, and we have a plan, and that plan is generous. It's a generous plan that we have.
It's roomy. It has margins. It's fine.
All right.
And I'm speaking with you guys again on Friday. Is that right? So we have some space.
We've got flexibility.
We've got time.
Yes.
We've got time. So I just want to know who I'm talking to first. So I've met a couple of you, but can we do a quick whip round of names? So I'm Lydia. Who else am I talking to?
Where's Hallie?
She went to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
There she is.
Okay, all right. Lock that door. Turn off one set of lights. Maybe the other set.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Can you see us okay?
Yeah, it's good enough.
Or flip them. I'll do it. Y'all introduce yourselves.
Yeah, tell me who you are.
My name's Hallie.
Hi, Hallie.
I'm Allie.
Hi, Allie.
I'm Asha.
Hi, Asha.
I'm Alani.
Hi, Alani.
And I'm here, Simeon.
And Piers, the guy who would absolutely dwarf me. That's perfect. So you have some big paper there, right?
Some very big papers.
Pierce size. We laid Pierce on the ground.
Do you have enough of it to do 2 sheets next to each other on the floor that are the length of a person?
Shoot. Look.
It's okay if you don't.
Oh, look. 1, 2. We're set.
Can they go down on the floor?
Are you kidding? Of course they can.
Can we have 2 volunteers to lie down on the paper?
Yeah, they're Pierce. Yes, Pierce lay down, and a lot. No. Okay, Donnelly, you lay down. Yeah. See where?
Amazing.
Okay.
So yeah, two bodies on the paper. And then could the rest of you grab whatever pens and pencils are around and draw around these people in a way that preserves their dignity and is fully consensual, please?
I think 2 of them Pierce.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Like make arms, space in between the arms.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to hit this motion.
Think murder scene vibes, you know?
Him and them, they're so long. Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't have to be exact. Why don't you?
No, it doesn't have to be exact. It's just about having a body on the paper. Help us think out loud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pierce, are you getting that false sense of tickle?
A little bit.
Like the ghosting. How do you want to do her fingers?
Spread out. Spread your fingers.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Yeah, make yourselves beautiful, people lying down. Think about good shapes.
I didn't do it close. Was I supposed to do it close?
No, dear, it's okay. Pierce needs to put on a little weight.
You just need a body shape. Yeah.
Coming at you, Pierce. Oh.
Sausage light.
I got it to like the kind of.
All right, Alani, I'll finish it. Oh, got it. Pierce?
No.
No.
There.
All right, help that man up. Don't let him tear the paper, though.
Yeah, no, take care of that paper.
Your body. Oh, wait, we got it. Okay.
All right.
Hit that. Even though his legs are much longer than that.
Okay. Okay, we're good.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that the paper that has Piers on it That is, well, both of these images are artists now. We're thinking of both of these bodies as artists and what you know as an artist. The piece of paper that has Pierre's shape on it, can we give it a name? Can we give this artist a name? Something that's arty sounding.
Morgan.
Pierre.
What? No.
Pierre.
Beret.
Beautiful. So Pierre is going to represent the characteristics and skills of the artist. You might, if you want to write that down, you can, just so you remember it. The characteristics and skills of the artist. So things about an artist that are invisible, it's about who they are more than what you see. And then the other paper, can we give that one a name?
She looks like a little girl. What's a little girl?
Matilda.
Matilda. Nice choice. I like that. So Matilda is representing the outputs of the artist. So all the ways that we see them make a physical contribution to the world, the things that exist outside of them because of what they're doing and making happen or making in the world. So we've got the outputs of the artist in Matilda, and we've got the characteristics and skills of the artist in Pierre. Does one feel easier than the other?
Probably Matilda. I was thinking.
Yeah, should we start with Matilda? And as you're listing outputs, just scribble them down as notes inside that body.
Wait, is everybody do it? Yeah.
Yeah, all of you together. Throw some ideas at me. What are you thinking?
We're coloring it?
No,
What are you writing? Oh, you're doing the name.
Outside.
Okay. Sorry. What characteristics and skills of an artist?
So Matilda is outputs. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So outputs.
So what does an artist make? What's the most immediate thing that comes to mind? What do artists make?
Art.
What does that art look like? What's it made from? How does it exist in the world?
Oh, paint.
Paintings. What else?
Are these things written inside their body?
So the Matilda, you can write them outside of her shape, if
Okay.
you like.
All
And then
right.
they're outputs. And Pierre, we're going to write the characteristics inside. But we're with Matilda at the moment.
Beauty. All right.
Poetry. Oh, yeah.
What else? Physical things that I can hold and see in the world and visit and look at and experience.
Sculptures.
Nice.
Movies.
Nice.
We already have
Books.
books. Yeah. Plays.
What else is involved in a play?
Actors.
Actresses.
Acting.
Play.
Set.
Like,
Props.
Yeah, sets.
Yeah, props.
So you've got the script, you've got the set. Yeah, what else?
Costumes.
Costumes. Amazing. And what are costumes like?
Beaded.
Sparkles.
Sewing and like
Sparkles.
Like products? What kind of products might they be selling?
Pants. Shirts. Hats.
Do these feel like things an artist makes? Only write it if it feels right.
Hats.
Script.
Did you say hats?
Script has a T. Script has a T.
Right here.
Script.
Are you doing
Script.
something?
SCRIPT. PT.
PT.
PT. Yeah.
I'm just writing stuff down.
Yeah, you're doing great.
What else?
Now,
Maybe we think
Lydia,
Makeup.
these are actual like tangible objects, or would a song be something?
a song works for me. Anything that exists outside the artist's body. It's not about who they are. It's not about their skill sets. It's something that they put into the world. So it doesn't have to be something I can hold.
So, joy.
I'll let that be a discussion point. Does that work?
I like Joy's more.
Oh, joy's on the interior.
I think Joy's more.
Characteristics of. All right.
If you're starting to come up with characteristics, then write them down. I mean, we can work on both at the same time. That's a pretty good idea. So the characteristics are going inside the body.
Joy, introspection, fear,
I got fear.
hurt, Okay, hurt.
Why do you say hurt? I think that's a really interesting one.
Who said that?
Allie did.
Sometimes people don't like your work.
Yeah.
What?
When people don't like your work, or they don't agree with your choices that you made when you made something.
I think you're touching on something really interesting there. What does the artist have to be to keep making things even if other people don't think they should?
Confident in their work.
Confident, for sure. There's another C word that's coming to mind for me. It's courage. Courageous, maybe. Brave.
Oh,
But only write the words that feel good.
Because like you have to have love for the work that you do.
Yeah.
Are there any more outputs that come to mind? Sometimes I find it easy to think about if I wake up in the morning and I'm getting out of bed, I'll go through my day in chronological order. What are the things that I come across in a day that were made by an artist?
Furniture.
Toothbrush?
Furniture.
That like the world.
Yeah, who said the world?
Alani.
Alani, why did you say the world?
Because as a person, you go through a daily routine and you see the same things over and over again. And I feel like as an artist, most of the time, it reflects in your work what you repetitively experience.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So does that say something about the kind of person the artist is? Because you're hovered over Matilda right now, aren't you? So what is that? If someone's looking at their environment every day, but managing to make it look like something else, or a painting, or a product, or a building, or a book, or a script, what skills are they using to do that? Because that's special.
Like their senses.
Yeah, connected to their senses is a great one.
I'm Matilda.
What else are they connected to be able to do that?
Creativity.
Yeah, like creativity.
Yeah, creativity.
And they're like intuition.
Intuition, creativity,
Like how you perceive, like perception.
perception. Brilliant one. Yeah.
Write these.
In this one.
Get them on Matilda.
Oh no, she said Matilda. Perception.
Oh no, am I right? Which one's which?
No,
Pierre's.
Pierre is interior.
Okay.
Pierre is interior. Sorry, I mixed them up. The bigger body is getting full of characteristics.
What about like outlook?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. I'm also thinking of something like reflective, because all of the things you're saying are one thing, but you have to take time to spend time with those things, don't you? So you can have a great outlook, you can be connected to your senses, but if you don't make space to sit with those things, then it's not going to become art necessarily.
Patience.
Yeah.
Patience. That's a hard one.
Oh wait, do we have any like belief? Like I don't know how I would say that. Like I wouldn't say belief. I would say like
Motivation.
I mean, motivation's a good one.
Self-worth. Yeah, faith is a good one.
Yeah, faith is like you believe.
What are you thinking about that's different to confidence? Because I think belief is different to confidence, but what feels different to you?
Like I feel like I can be confident in what I do, but if I don't believe in what I'm doing, then I don't think I can be confident in it. Like I feel like they go
before
different.
Devotion.
Yeah.
I
think belief is a lovely one to have down there.
I feel like I'm trying to say like believing in what you're doing, not believing that you can do it. I think confidence is believing you can do something, but I'm talking about like believing in what you're doing. I don't know what that's called.
Dedication.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I'm looking for.
I know what I would call it for me, but I think it's different for everybody.
This is already in my head. I don't know, like belief in what you're doing. It's like
Well, you can just write that. There's no problem with that. It's a beautiful sentiment.
Conviction.
Conviction.
Yeah.
Belief in the truth.
It's making me think of the buzzword that I use for everything, which is connection. Like connection to the sort of forces that are making you feel motivated to make, connection to the thing that you hope will happen because you made something, connection to the people that you want to see it or benefit from it. Connecting to those things as a route to being confident that you're making the right thing at the right time.
I, huh? It is the I.
There's ID.
Yeah. We got as far as furniture in the course of a day. Was there anything else by thinking through the average day that you thought, oh, an artist made that?
I think like streets and cars and scenery.
Like architecture.
Coffee?
Yeah, architecture and scenery.
Food, coffee, the stripes on the road.
Do these all feel good? Are any of these making you pause for thought? Do they all feel obvious or?
I'm definitely thinking about them.
We started with painting and sculpture, which feel like the two kind of most obvious ones, and we've got as far as the lines on the floor on the streets and the coffee that you drink in the morning. That's a pretty big leap. Does it still feel art's made to you?
It's like you don't realize how many things are actually like, made from art.
So
Artists.
So hopping back to the skills and the characteristics, if we're thinking about that perfect cup of coffee and all of the stages that it's gone through and all of the artists involved in getting that from the field to your face, what are the skills or the sensibilities, the characteristics of the person that's going to serve you a perfect coffee as opposed to an okay one?
attention to detail.
Attention to detail. Gorgeous. Get it down.
Practice.
Yes.
Practice.
Attention to detail.
Practice is another beautiful one, yeah.
Oh,
What the heck?
it died.
She not on the call.
I need to look up what it is.
This is like stressing me out.
Oh, there you go.
I got kicked out.
Oh, well,
Back.
thank you for coming back.
I did. Are you glad I did? There we go. How's it going?
What's like going back to like attention to detail,
Mhm.
like how
Care.
yes, like how much you care about. Yes, did you write that already? Oh. Chris got it. I can't. It keeps saying confidence, but it's not what I'm talking about.
For the belief in what you do.
In your, I'm gonna say in your work.
Like pride.
I love that concept of care, and it's something that I think about a lot. If you start with care as the characteristic, what do you think can get made from care? What do you think could end up on Pierre's sheet by thinking about care as the starting point for making something?
Hey, we've got
Focus.
this is our resource. This is Officer Stubbs.
Focus.
This is
I can only see your legs, I'm afraid, because I'm tipped forwards, but it's nice to meet you. Hi.
And this is
Oh,
Lydia.
there you are. Hi.
Here we go. Yeah.
She's on
She's
the
on the
ground now.
floor. Okay. All right.
Hi, good to meet you.
Yes, when we have art chats here, there's a couple of people that I always invite, and Officer Stubbs is one. We might have our assistant principal in here in a minute.
Sweet. Well, maybe you can help us, Officer Stubbs, because we're talking about care, and I imagine that's something you have to think about quite a lot. What do you make with care in your day to day?
Care.
Oh, just constantly watching out for the kids.
Watching out, exactly. Making plans for watching out. That's something that gets made. I know all too well about risk assessments. That's something that people sit around a desk and talk about how to minimize the risk to you as young people in your environment. That's something that gets made from care. Your physical environment gets made from an idea of care, because we want to minimize the chances of you having a bad time.
And walking around, watching them, making sure they're okay, emotionally and physically.
For sure. So how are these two artists looking? Do they look like you expected?
No, it's more out of the box than I expected.
Yeah, which is
what
good.
I expected to be doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
When you say out of the box, what do you mean?
It's a lot more thinking than
Yeah.
we usually do in art chats.
I'm so sorry.
No, this is crap.
It's a good thing.
This is why this, there's usually just a little bit, actually, I don't want to, there's a lot of Q&A.
Yeah, this is more
Sure.
this is more hands-on than other art chats we've had.
Okay, well, I know you've come up with lots of questions, and I don't want to ignore those. If you can ask me anything anytime. I'm also really aware that you've got me again on Friday, so we have time just to have really, really casual chat now and on Friday, or across the 2 times. But I also, I have more questions for you if you want them. So you tell me what the energy levels are like and how you're feeling and what you want to do next, because I can ask you more about this and we can switch it up and move on to the next thing, or you can ask me some questions, whatever feels good.
I like
what
what we're doing.
Okay, so I'm really glad to hear that. This is, and I'm glad that this feels out of the box for you. That's really interesting. I'm wondering what it does to your headspace if I introduce the word leader. What do you think that if I change these 2 bodies on the floor and I say they're not artists, they're leaders, does that fit? Is there stuff that doesn't fit? What do you think?
No, I think it fits.
It definitely fits with Pierre.
Yeah.
I don't really know if it would fit with Matilda though.
Tell me more about that.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes artists are like overlooked, and you wouldn't like characterize them as like
Leaders.
yeah.
But that's not necessarily, like, she's asking if this were a leader, could they be creating these things, which absolutely they could.
Yeah.
Could.
But I feel like when we think leader,
Not
we
nec-
think like president.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like correlated in your brain.
It's
but,
not
like, it makes
with
sense.
it's not. It doesn't fit the average criteria of what you think of when you think of like.
Yeah. And why do you think that is?
The Pierre definitely does, because like as somebody thinking about a generic leader, you think about them having pride and patience and being courageful and confident and like not being afraid or anything. So like this one definitely fits, but I don't think that one really does.
So it's about the outputs don't look like a leader, but maybe the inside does.
Yeah.
Does everyone agree with that?
No, Allie does not.
Tell me why, Ali.
I feel like leaders don't have to be this one specific stereotype. Leaders can be in any sense. Like, even if it's not a job, just leader of the family, leader of your friends, leader of a certain way of thinking. Everyone can be a leader and everyone has different things that they create, so any of this could make sense.
Yeah.
I
think there's room for all of these things. Sorry, who was about to speak?
I was gonna say, I think like for a leader, like these characteristics are in like all leaders, I would say. But for this, it's like the outputs are not guaranteed, like in the like inner characteristics are more
Guaranteed.
guaranteed.
Are there any guaranteed outputs for a leader? Genuine question. There's no right or wrong answers.
We put
Not
the
trying
world.
to lead you anywhere.
I think
Yeah, the world.
leaders do impact the world.
Yeah.
And that was one of our.
By making what?
And structure. I think structure too.
Mhm.
Because no matter what you're leading, like you're affecting the structure of it. Like whether it be like the structure of a family or the structure of the world, structure of a building. If you're like head on a construction crew, then like you affect how that's being built, or like if you're the head, if you're the president, you're affecting the structure of the country. So I think structure can apply in all.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you think artists can be involved in making structure in the way that you've described?
Definitely. As an artist, I think you define your own work, and since you're in charge of what you put out and what you do most of the time, then I think you definitely have a say in the structure.
I mean, also, I think like when we wrote structure, is like more like a physical structure, like a building, but like you're talking kind of like not as physical.
Yeah.
We're talking like infrastructure, like the way that those things work, right? Like policies, procedures, laws, rules for things. Yeah. Do you think artists can make those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like art.
Who said, oh yeah? That was a really strong answer. Go on, Ali. Where have you come across an artist making that?
Well, art. Every piece of art is a statement. They all state different things, and you can have different, like planning what you're gonna make. You can think, oh, am I gonna make this a political piece? Am I gonna make this a social statement? And art really moves people to make change, whether it's like in themselves or like out in the world. So, I've seen a lot of places where art becomes a statement for different things and can represent different things. So definitely, because it resonates so hard with people, it definitely can affect structure.
For sure. And there's actually a whole area of art that's just about affecting infrastructure. It took me a long time to find it, but as a university student, I came across socially engaged art, and the whole purpose of that is to change how and where we live, and to empower communities and groups of people to change where they live, either in really practical ways, like changing the street, the buildings, the use of the buildings, or changing the culture of how people operate in their area so that it changes how they live together in the place, even if it doesn't physically change. So there are there's a whole history of artists doing that on purpose, for sure. Any burning thoughts that if you didn't say it, you'd be disappointed?
I really just need to figure out what that's called.
What's the niggle? What are you still trying to work out?
I feel like believing in what you're doing is called something else. Like there's a shorter term.
There's a word in your brain.
There's a word for it, and I know it, but I can't say it.
Believing in what you're doing rather than believing you can do something.
Yeah, like I feel like believing in what you're doing is different than having confidence, because I feel like you can believe in what you're doing but not be confident that you could execute it.
Having a purpose.
It's like one word.
Yes.
I still think that's a good one, Ali.
Yeah, that is good. Like, I think purpose is good. Like finding a purpose in your work, but like I feel like it's something different. I don't know. Making my head hurt.
Should we move on and come back to it?
Yeah,
And
we can definitely move on.
see if moving around helps your brain work it out. Okay, do you want to clear a little bit of floor space? And if everyone's comfortable, are you happy being on your feet for a few minutes?
Of course.
Yes.
Sweet. I'm sorry if this feels too much like gym class. right. So can everyone point to your right so that I get a sense of where you are? Okay, so your right is my left. So the right-hand side of the room is the wall is agree. You couldn't agree any more with the statement. It's the most you could possibly agree. The other side of the room, to your left, is disagree. Could not disagree with this statement anymore. And then, as you would imagine, the space in between is a line where you can put yourself at any point between really, really, really agree, really, 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 really disagree, exactly in the middle, agree a little bit, disagree a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're going to physically move yourselves. Okay. Statement number 1. Picasso is an artist. Picasso is an artist. Okay, everyone really, 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 really agrees. Can someone tell me why? Can someone who really, really agrees tell me why?
I love Picasso's artwork. I think he like draws insight on like other things and like the abstraction of it, but also like in his self-portraits, like he shows like growth of self, and I think like he shows that in his art. So it's like meaningful art as well as just being like pretty to look at.
Nice. Piers, you're the most towards the center of everybody. Why have you put yourself there rather than right against the wall?
I actually am over here, but we don't have a lot of room.
So is everyone could not agree more with this statement. Picasso is an artist. Okay, so are you ready for statement 2?
Particularly since that's just the first question.
Oh, okay. You want to hedge your bets. I see what you're doing. All right. Second one. There is a bit of a theme you might notice. Taylor Swift is an artist. Are we in a bit more of a spread this time? I can see a bit of shuffling. Okay, who's Ali? Are you really, really against the wall?
Yeah, I suppose.
Can you tell me why Taylor Swift is an artist, or why you feel Taylor Swift is an artist?
Well, she creates music, which is one, a form of art, and two, she puts real meaning behind her work. And it's just like a painting or a drawing. You can really look at it and listen to it for a long time and get something different every time you listen to it. So it's really inspirational, some of her different pieces of music. And she crafts it so carefully that I would consider it art.
Nice. Thank you. Could someone who's creeping more towards the middle of the room tell me why they've put themselves there? I'm not going to pick on anyone.
I think I'm not on the edge because I disagree that she's an artist. I think she's an artist. I just don't always appreciate it. So I think I'm more, just a little bit more towards the middle because I don't
more feeling feelings about her art rather than disagreeing with her being an artist.
I always see like the full depth of it. So like I feel like I'm not fully to the wall.
I see what you're saying. Does anybody else want to state their position on this very important matter?
Well, I'm trying to leave aesthetic out of my decisions right now. It's just about creative output and finding a channel. And so I think both Taylor Swift and Picasso were very prolific, regardless of the aesthetic.
Fair, and very fair of you, as the teacher should be. Would you like me to move on? You ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Pope Francis is an artist. The head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, is an artist. Take your time, think about it, have a move around. And I should also say that as people are explaining their positions, if what they're saying is changing your mind, then feel free to, take some steps. This is a live continuum. You don't have to stay exactly where you are. You're allowed to change your mind. So we've got more of a spread on this one, which is exciting. Who really, really thinks that he is?
I do.
Talk to me.
It's kind of what I was saying earlier about being a leader. Like, I feel like there's so many different aspects that go into being a leader. That kind of craft that you do daily kind of makes you an artist. It kind of gives you the same characteristics as somebody who paints or sings or does movies or anything like that. Like, essentially, it's the same thing. You're just doing it in different ways, I guess.
And how do you see, can you think of some of the ways that Pope Francis does that for you?
I would say just like being in charge and like, let's see, like some of the characteristics we had in the body of like the artists, like being confident in the decisions that you make, making those decisions to better other people, and like just like finding joy in the stuff that you do and doing it for a purpose, not just like it has meaning behind it.
This is a difficult question, but it's just come to my mind, so don't worry if you don't have an answer. Is there a way that he could pope differently that would stop him from being an artist? Feel free to help her with this, because that is a hard question and there might not be an answer.
I guess if he was, and I guess everyone would have an art. If he were more dictatorial,
Yeah, I was about to say a dictator probably.
Okay, so maybe listening is part of, like you were saying, being connected to senses and being perceptive, and if you kind of block those things out, it cuts off the artistic element. That's super, super interesting. So we've got 3 people on disagree, I think, and then a couple maybe in the middle. Could someone from the disagree side talk to me or help each other out and come up with a bit of a, why is Pope Francis not an artist? He'll be devastated, so we need to be really specific with how we tell him this.
Yes. I'm not necessarily like right on disagree, but I'm closer to the middle because there isn't anything. Well, there are a few things that would suggest like artistic inspiration, but there isn't anything distinctively that would tell me that he is an artist. The closest, why I'm in the middle is the closest I could think is like he is technically a priest as well, so he writes homilies, which do have room for inspiration. He has some sense of divine inspiration, which all artists thrive off of. So I'm not like gonna strictly disagree, but I'm also not completely on the side that he is an artist.
You're not against the wall, but he's no Picasso.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Piers, any thoughts?
I just can't. I just don't think.
It just doesn't work for you as an image, does it? I mean, he wears a hat. It's not a beret with a paintbrush, but he does have a hat, you know? No? Does that not, doesn't go far enough?
Yeah,
So.
we did.
Is that for you off the small one? Is this hat like the bishop hat? The real big chicken thing?
I think so.
Does anyone have it?
I think he has a few, you know.
yeah, right.
Do you, would you like a couple more of these?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else I've got. Okay, this came up earlier on. Barack Obama. Is he an artist? I love the pause to think. It's my favourite part. Think hard. Barack Obama. Is he an artist?
I'm gonna get it.
What kinds of questions are you asking yourself as you're trying to make the decision?
I'm trying to think about like what his outputs are. Like what is he doing?
Did you write a book?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
what
I mean, he writes laws. That's where I was like, oh yeah, and he makes public statements, and he's a well-spoken guy, so he has some sort of artistic
Abilities.
abilities.
And like he has to be like, I guess like creative in a sense of like, I don't know, just like trying to like better his like better America and like get people to agree with him and stuff like that. I think that's something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a leadership thing for me.
It's really interesting that your mind went to outputs, because we did two bodies, didn't we? And the outputs was one part of being the artist, but there was a lot about the internal and the kind of person that makes an artist. Do you think Barack hits some of those points?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think that was kind of a given. As the leader of the nation, he's got to have some leadership qualities. we would hope.
But we're asking if he's an artist. Is that different? Is that so different?
I think it's pretty similar, at least for internal qualities. Do you agree? Yeah.
That's super interesting. So who have we got kind of beginning to move towards not sure, disagree? What are the thoughts there?
I think it's just like the same as Pope Francis. It's like definitely like artistic qualities, but like I'm still kind of focused on the outputs. Like they have different like jobs and stuff rather than like other artists that like actually spend their life creating something. But like I don't know, that's I'm kind of in the middle because they also create stuff too. So
yeah, tricky one. Okay, a little bit of contrast. Elon Musk, is he an artist?
some of them could be create course. But like that wasn't
And break the whole.
Yeah.
I'm
like
I'm moving.
Yeah. I'm like here.
Yeah. More of a spread on this one.
I sort of agree.
So Robbie, you moved big time there. What are you thinking?
Well, it's more. I don't think he had. I don't know. I've never read a book by the man or anything or his biography. So it's purely from the outside. But
You're going on vibes.
my vibes tell me that yes, he absolutely produces things. He changes the world. He puts there are objects that are created because of him. But I don't see it as, I don't feel as though he's got the inner disposition of an artist. So yeah, that's why I moved over here.
You see it, but you don't feel it. It's
Yeah,
really intuitive.
Yeah, it's production for for climbing a ladder, as opposed to production for the betterment of a society, which is where I would hope that an artist would more align him or herself with.
So it's almost coming down to the fact that you think he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Well,
Said you were going to be unbiased.
well, yeah, but that was early. Now we're getting
that was Taylor Swift, man. It's all
Yeah,
changed now.
Barack Obama in there. I was like, oh, this is good. This is okay, like the kind of the waves, or yeah.
Okay, so we've got quite a few people still agreeing. Who's thinking that and why?
I think he's very creative. I'm not fully like against the wall, but I think with being like he creates things, he's creative, he's constantly thinking of new ideas, like, and I don't think it's purely economical. Like I know he was like, I want to make new stuff so I can have new cool stuff, but I know he's also thinking like, oh, and then I'll share it with other people and they'll have cool stuff, and I'll get rich, but they'll also have cool stuff. Like I feel like there's some like, I want to share this. Like, yeah.
he wants to share his work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and my daughter pulls me over this way a little bit. I think
Okay.
good point.
I found it interesting that and I might get rich was like 0.3. I'm more like 0.1 for him. And it's interesting because I also have Steve Jobs down here, and I wonder if you feel differently about Steve Jobs.
Absolutely.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Both big business people, both making mega millions, both making products that we all keep in our homes 100% of the time. What feels different with Steve Jobs? Why does he set himself apart from Elon?
Steve Jobs was more original.
Really?
What?
Steve Jobs was more original.
I think Steve Jobs, like when Asher was talking about Musk being creative and productive, I think I just don't know how much of that comes from him, or and this is all just a vibe again. But I think he has people do it for him, whereas I thought Jobs was more of a self-made person.
Yeah.
That and
Birthed the iPhone in his garage. Sorry, who did I speak over?
that and like learning things about both Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. It, like you said, is the vibes. Elon Musk gives the vibe of a dad who likes playing around in a garage and had some money and wanted to be rich, and so he did what he did, and then keeps growing off of it. Steve Jobs, like you said, originated from his garage, made laptops, iPhones, built an entire company of products that are original, and he had that vibe of someone who wanted to create rather than someone who wanted to get rich.
Well, and if it's true that last bedside thing of Steve Jobs, who was talking about giving it all up and being more connected to humanity, that sold me.
I think they're kind of the same because, like, with Elon Musk, like, as the aspect of, like, creating something original and, like, putting it out for the world, I think it's pretty much the same. Like, yes, iPhones and, like, iPads and iMacs and, like, all that, that's very original. But I also think creating, like, the first wide-known, naturally electric cars is kind of original. Yeah, and SpaceX, yeah.
He's the co-founder of PayPal also.
That too. Like,
Yeah, totally.
I feel like they're both creative and they both did things that bettered as, like, I think some people's art has been put out there, like physical art as in, like, paintings and drawings, they've bettered the art community, and I think that, like, iPhones and Teslas and PayPal and stuff like that, I think it's also better, like, the human race. Like, we've developed a lot more than we were.
Does the thing that the artist makes have to improve things for other people to make them an artist? What if they still make something but it makes things worse? They still made it, right?
Yeah,
What do you think?
I would say no.
As in, no, it doesn't have to make things better.
Correct.
Is everyone nodding along with that, or is that a food for thought moment?
I think that it doesn't have to make things better, but I think the intention should be to make things better, to make it art. Like,
Fair enough.
I don't think if you're going into it saying, I want to make the world worse, like, I don't think that makes you an artist. I mean,
So the inventor of the atom bomb, probably not an artist.
probably.
Okay. Says Asher. It's official. Okay, we're in the last 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to keep you after school. Let's do a couple more. I've got Amelia Earhart. She was the first woman to fly the Atlantic solo. She did it at a time when that was tricky to do. Planes weren't so clever. Was she an artist?
This is all the way down.
I mean, given that I can't see most of you because Piers is disagreeing so hard, I think this is the most controversial one. Piers, why wasn't she an artist?
No. Well, actually, I think she
Oh, there you go.
somewhat was an artist because she had to have the skill to be able to fly, a plane, and it takes some artistry, in my opinion.
And she had like a lot of influence on just like women. Like she was like one of the first people or the first woman to do anything like that. So I think like she has all of those qualities of an artist that like all of the other people had too. So
If I ask the question of whether she's a leader, does that change where you all stand?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that make it easier?
Yes.
Okay, is Amelia Earhart a leader? Oh, here we go. That's interesting, isn't it? What? what made the difference easier for you?
I don't know, cause I mean, all day I've been putting the two hand in hand, but like as an artist, I don't know. I can't see like I know she does have like artistic ability and like learning how to fly the plane, repetitively trying at it and finally doing it, like putting that out there. But I feel like she's more of a leader than an artist. Like her, yeah, she definitely is both. But I feel like the leader aspect of it is more than the artist aspect.
Sure.
Like,
That's a really beautiful point that you just brought up that didn't come up when we were doing the figures on the floor. Is I think the artist has to be okay with failure and has to be okay with trying again and again and again and again, because if that material doesn't do what they want it to do the first time, they're going to keep working with it to find its limits. And I definitely see that in someone that's flying a plane over the Atlantic, although there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm not testing any of you. All right, last one, and I'm sure you saw it coming. Are you an artist? Each of you individually. And if Robbie doesn't stand against the wall, I'm gonna have issue with my whole system. Okay, who found that an easy question and who found that a difficult question?
I thought it was difficult.
Yeah, I think it's kind of difficult, but like I'm in touch with reality. So
and why are you on the disagree side?
well, I'm kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Because I know what like I don't think I would call myself an artist. I think that people who are artists have worked a lot harder and care. I mean, I care about art, but like care a lot significantly more than I do. Like it's not just a class for them; it's their whole life. And I mean, like art isn't just a class for me. Like I've been in art class like since I started school, but like it's not something I wake up in the morning and it's the first thing I think about. So I feel like I wouldn't say it's like a sense of disrespect, but like I wouldn't feel right calling myself an artist because I don't really put that much into it.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like disrespect to me. It almost sounds like so much respect for it that it's over there. It's not you because you see what it is for other people. I don't think that's disrespect at all. Who felt really natural and happy calling themselves an artist? Tell me why.
well, I like dance, and so dance is an art form, and like it's really something I'm passionate about, and like creating, just like I don't know. So that's definitely why I think I am consider myself kind of an artist. But like when it comes to like drawing and stuff, no, and like painting, no. But on that side of things.
Amazing. I'm glad you still put yourself there even if you can't draw. That's absolutely right. Anybody else?
I've always been like connected to art in some way. Like I've always been into the visual arts, so like I draw, paint, like anything I can really get my hands on, I'll try, and it's something that's an outlet for me at this point, and it has been for a long time. Like if I've had a stressful day, my fingers will be itching to draw something.
Hi everyone.
I'm gonna turn you around.
There you are. Hi.
Let's get natural light. Turn the lights off.
Hi, it's good to see you all again. How are you?
Good.
Yeah. Friday afternoon, weekend's here. It's 8:15 in the evening where I am, so I'm literally spending Friday night with you. This is as wild as my Friday nights get.
I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Yeah, it's Friday night. Come on.
Thank you, British.
You're welcome.
All right, you've got. I just left a meeting. I need to run for a second. I'll be right back. So y'all take over.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Alright. What do we-
Quick, trash the room. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Um,
Yeah, do you have thoughts about what you want from today? Have you been thinking about Wednesday? Did it stay with you at all?
Yeah. We talked about it yesterday in class.
Did
How
you?
we enjoyed it.
What came up? Fill me in. Even if it's like unfinished thoughts or confusion or like why did she ask us to do that or what's that about? Yeah, I want to hear.
We were just talking about like, oh, it was interesting to think of like artists in different ways. Because we've been studying like purely like visual, like physical art. Like we haven't done any poetry, we haven't done anything like that. So yeah, it was just interesting to think about it.
A lot of physical, not really mental.
Yeah, it
This
was
was
interesting
more
to think about it in a
mental.
different way. Yeah.
And like kind of more focused on like the artist rather than like the art itself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
We were really
Oh, I'm
just like finished product instead of like the process
Yeah.
that it takes to get there.
Well, you just named all of my favorite things: the artist, the process, the mental aspects, and the intangible things, rather than the. It doesn't mean that I'm not completely behind. Like I'll fight to the end for people to have the right to make things, but yeah, everything that you just named is the stuff that gets me properly excited. I think that stuff makes a real difference. I was when I met Robbie for a conversation before meeting you guys, he was telling me that most of the people that do this class don't go on to study the arts or have careers in the arts. That's not necessarily what you're interested in. I'm interested in what you are thinking about doing next.
You want me to? You can go. I want to be a lawyer when I grow up.
Sweet.
So,
tell her how you would want to be a lawyer.
yeah,
Yeah, tell me. Tell her.
I actually have been wanting to be a lawyer since I was like very small,
Yeah, you just own it.
Anytime like anybody asks me what I want to be, it's just like it's never changed for me. Like there was never a thought to it. I've always felt that I wanted to be a lawyer, and I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Does that mean you have a sense of an area of law, or you just know that that's where you want to be?
I kind of do. I've like been in the courtroom aspect, like shadowing other lawyers and things like that. But like even at a young age, I don't know what it was about it, or whether it's people telling me growing up all the time that I'd probably be a good lawyer. I think I've just always wanted to be a lawyer.
That's amazing.
My dad actually, when I was younger, bought me a shirt that said "Future Lawyer" on it, and he came into my room the other day, and my closet door was open, and it was in the front of my closet, like right in the middle. And he was like, "Wow, you still have this shirt?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, because I'm going to frame it and have it above my desk in my law practice. That's amazing. What else? What else do people in the room want to be?
Oh yeah.
Or want to study, not necessarily even be?
I want to study veterinary medicine, so I want to be a veterinarian and a businessman.
Amazing.
Well, I mean, he's already a businessman. He's proposed something here at school that he's going to be selling his own roast coffee here on campus, and
Retail stores.
And in retail stores. See, and he's correcting me and letting me know.
Yeah, because he's a businessman and you're not representing his brand properly.
Yeah. And what's your mom do?
She has a food truck.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I thought you were like, you work at a vet, right? No, you used to work.
I used to work at a dog daycare.
A doggy daycare.
That's
Yeah.
so fun.
I'm really loving the idea of you treating someone's pet while they're having a hard time and then just offering them the best cup of coffee of their lives while they're there. And just combining all of these things into one experience. I'll fix your dog. I'll give you some caffeine. I can do it all. That's amazing. That's really amazing.
Hello, Officer Stubbs. We've got
Hi.
Sarah's back in the room.
Hi.
Okay, I'll go next. I haven't really decided exactly what I want to do, but like something medical, maybe like a nurse or like I don't know. I like the like physician's assistant, like a PA. I like that. Something medical.
Nice.
I haven't decided.
Nice. Really nice.
Graduating. Allie, you're first.
I want to study probably like communications. I don't know what specifically. Like at first I was thinking journalism, but then I was like, I don't know. So maybe like media communications. I'm not really sure yet.
Amazing though. Communication is a great place to start for all kinds of things. That's amazing.
Even if I don't stay in it, I think it's a good starting point.
For sure.
I don't necessarily know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I want to do. I've been thinking a lot about coastal studies or like marine biology.
Amazing.
But also I wanted to be like a doctor for a while. Cancer research was appealing, but I don't really know yet.
Yeah. Well, there's a fun space between all of those things, I think. The earliest thing I remember wanting to be when I was maybe 6 or 7 was a ballerina and a fireman. I wanted to be both. They had we had TV shows where the main characters were both of those things, and I thought, well, complementary skills, let's do all of it. And I think that's when the idea of kind of multi-hyphenate careers was born, because I could just imagine myself doing both things as a career, and that made sense to me. It really interests me that so many of you are considering medical futures. Bit of a personal story. I have a huge medical phobia, right? So being in hospitals and doctor surgeries is just my worst nightmare. And I've had to work really, really hard to be able to spend time in those spaces. And it all roots back to some really difficult experiences when I was very, very small, mostly with doctors and nurses not being very kind. So you can't make the procedure any nicer if it has to happen, but you can be human and you can be kind and connecting when you're working with a patient or a person. And then, so for the last few years, I've been chronically ill, and I'm going through all of these tests, right, to find out whether I have arthritis at the moment. And I've had to have all of these blood tests. And it's really, really, really hard for me to do that. Really hard. It takes a lot for me to show up. It takes a lot for me to stay in the chair. It takes a lot for it to happen. And then I had this blood test recently that went really, really well. And I was like, what is going on? I'm kind of, this is okay. I'm managing this. This is all right. I'm, dare I say it, kind of even having a good time. What's going on here? And then I got talking to the phlebotomist that was taking the blood, and she was like, oh yeah, so I studied art until I was 25, and then I still do lino printing in the evening, and I go to this pottery class every Saturday. And I was like, I'm having an artist take my blood. That's the difference. I'm having an artist is taking my blood. This is why it feels different. And I think when I was talking to Robbie in the coffee that we had before meeting you guys, that one of the things that really interested me in the fact that lots of you don't necessarily want careers in the arts, but you're spending this time with art and with artists and with artistic ideas, is that wherever you end up, there's going to be value in an artist working alongside you. If you're in a position to employ an artist, do it. If you're in a position where one of your colleagues is an artist, take the time to understand what they're bringing to that role that's important and different and special to them, because to have artists on your team and in your midst, or to cultivate the artist in yourself in whatever role that you're in, is going to make a difference. It's going to be felt. It's going to mean that that you're going to lawyer differently, you're going to be a vet differently, you're going to communicate differently by engaging with these ideas. And it amazes me, because we don't have these same routes that you're accessing right now available in the UK. It's really, really hard to engage with the arts intentionally. If you want a career in the arts, you have to work very hard and fight very hard to do that here, let alone come across it by accident or study it for a while or kind of appreciate it through a class for the length of a semester. That doesn't happen here. So I just find it amazing that you've opted in.
Yeah, hear that? Hey, Lydia.
He didn't even pay me to say that, you know.
Lydia, can you? What do you do?
Great question. Well, today might be a good example. So today started with going for a walk to work out how to host a workshop in 2 weeks' time, where a bunch of early career producers will share a Zoom room, and I'm going to host a space for them to reflect on a year-long program that they've been part of. They can listen to each other, and then the contents of that meeting will get fed back to the people who commission producers so that they can tailor their offers to support producers. Then straight after that, I went into a meeting about a funding application that's going to support a disabled artist to do an 18-month project about nonverbal communication and how that can be a way of holding space in arts environments. And then I went into a conversation about how it's possible to map connections and resources, and whether I would be available to go and host a workshop about that in January for a group of 10 people in the Northeast. And then I sat and wrote a Substack essay for an hour and a half, which will come out at the weekend. And it's a really light-hearted one that explains the backgrounds to a lino print that I'm releasing, that I will sell for £10 a print. And now I'm talking to you. So every day looks really, really different, but it's all driven by playing my part in the arts economy and tending to the ecology that I'm part of as well, because the ecology is made up of actions of people. It's not this thing over there. It's a thing that's made up by the ways that we interact with one another. So I do something for myself, something with someone else, and something about someone else most days.
So how do organizations find you to run these workshops and or conversations? And two parts. How do they find you? One. Two, are you kind of written into these conversations as are you monetarily compensated as a person to like run the show, you know, in these conversations?
So people find me most often through either knowing me directly or knowing someone who knows me and I was recommended. And that's been a really slow process. So I've been freelance or self-employed for 10 years. And at the beginning of that career, I also worked part-time for an organization. And I was very intentional about not just networking. There's a lot of talk about networking or getting yourself out there or getting known. For me, that's very different to building relationship and connecting with people. So I would rather know fewer people well than lots and lots of people in a very surface level way. So I don't mean to make that sound easy or to kind of make light of it, but I've invested low and slow in relationships for a really long time. So it's now at a point where people will contact me and say, I don't quite know how you're involved in this, or they ask what you ask, what do you do? But I think it's you. And I'm also at a place in my career where if it's not me, if I don't think it's my job, then I'm happy to signpost to someone else. Whether I'm employed as a consultant or a project manager or a facilitator or a host or an artist, yes, I'm financially compensated because it's my job. I'm holding something there, or I'm writing something, or I'm making sure something is delivered in the right way, or I'm supporting a person or supporting a project or realizing the artwork. I am still an artist. I make art happen. So yeah, that's where I'm paid.
Jonah's back in the room.
Hey man,
Hello.
nice to see you. But I'm paid for lots of different jobs in lots of different ways, and some of them are very short term, some of them are one-off events, some of them are a few months working on a project, and some of them are low and slow, like the support work that I do with disabled artists is like 2 days a week of my time. So I have jobs that look different ways and last different amounts of time, but they all flow together.
I'm just, I'm magnificently impressed with, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be teaching here. And that used to give me anxiety, make me uneasy. Okay. Because I've been teaching this, it'll be coming up on 20 years. And, but I had this kind of realization not too long ago that, or not, it wasn't a realization at all. It was a comfort that I kind of had this feeling of like, you know what? Stop worrying about it, because you have lots of skills and what you're going to do does not exist yet. And that it wasn't that it gave me, it wasn't that I could say, okay, I'm going to do that, but it gave me permission. And I guess I shouldn't say it, I gave myself permission to trust in the abilities that I have, even though there might not be a specific job description. And to just trust in that process, that if you're good at what you do, it's going to get out there. And I have got five young adults in here, one of which is my daughter, so I don't have to, but these other 4 in here, when I say that, I mean, like, I can see these other 4 going home and saying, yeah, we talked with a British artist who kind of runs discussions and is a facilitator. And I can see the very practical minded, professionally driven, not that you're not professionally driven, but, you know, say, well, that's the first question. Well, how does she make money? And then if they say, I don't really know, but I found it fascinating what she did, it comes back around to, yeah, but how does she make a living? And you do, and it's by being patient and kind and listening and thinking in ways that other people are maybe not incapable of doing, but haven't been able to formulate that thought process to reach a communal end goal that might have an artistic bend to it. It's just
there's definitely an aspect of Trojan horsing the artist into the business setting or the health setting or the education setting and being like, surprise. But yeah, I love what you just said, and yeah, I didn't realize there's a potential career shift coming up for you, and I guess yeah, I resonate with that feeling of the end of one chapter, the beginning of another, though I've never had a chapter last 20 years because I'm 33 years old, so that would be strange. But I just don't think it's possible that you can cultivate a 20-year career in something and not leave a footprint. Like all of your actions or everything that you've ever said or done or made or communicated has an impact. And those imprints are left in the world and they can't not come to something. They have to. They just do. That's how that's how relationships work, that's how humans work, that's how energy works, that's how that's what the universe is built of. So even if something isn't immediately available to you or doesn't make immediate sense in terms of concepts of employment or any of the other constructs that society has created, doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity there. And finding a way for I'm not saying I always get this right, but the real sweet spot is where you're doing work that feels like the work that needs doing in this time, in this era. It's what people need, it's what the planet needs, and it also earns you enough money to live comfortably in your house and put the heating on and eat good food and these sorts of things. That's the sweet spot. Doesn't mean that I always sit on either side of that line. Sometimes I'm doing the heartfelt work and it doesn't pay enough, and sometimes I'm doing the thing that feels not like a sellout, because I don't go that far anymore, but it doesn't feel as true to me as some of the other things that I might do. But if overall you're feeling the balance, then for me that, you know, that fuels things. Yeah, and I'm also a big believer in so society and capitalism in particular is set up to thrive on scarcity, right? It's by you not having enough stuff that people have the capability to sell you more stuff. You need to feel worried that you don't have the thing so that they can sell you the thing. But that vibe is pervasive of so many things, including the job market, including employment. It's my belief that actually there's plenty. It's been proven there's enough money and food and resource for everyone on the planet to live well. It's just that we don't distribute it properly. And I feel similarly when it comes to the working world, like that there is enough. We don't have to be in competition for every job there is or for every opportunity there is. We can create more, we can share what there is, we can recommend one another. And I can honestly say it's never made things worse for me to big up someone else or recommend someone else or throw other people's names into a hat. It always comes back threefold, tenfold, and I've never ever regretted doing that. So it's not an immediate satisfaction way of living, but if you're in it for the long game, then it's worked for me, and I've seen it work for other people. It's not always easy. I don't want to glorify it either, but it's the only way I know to practice. So.
You guys have a question?
They're on my computer.
What?
They're on my computer.
Okay. Well, I have one.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I have to say, before things get like spoken outside the classroom, Mr. Austin has not set a time that he's going to be leaving the school. I don't know that for sure. I just foresee, yeah. But based on the conversation that you and I had, and let me back up a little bit. Like, I think I'm reaching a point in teaching where I think I may make a shift. That doesn't necessarily mean that I will leave the classroom, but maybe I'll just start teaching something else or have a different philosophy towards teaching or that's also something that you can make a pivot within your chosen field. Like, if you go into medicine or you go into law or you go into veterinary medicine, like that field is such a broad angle that you can choose those concentrations, but you had mentioned to me, and I'm just wondering if you could give us like I'm curious about your take on how you mentioned generosity, and I will tell them. We were talking, and I said to Lydia, I said, "Yeah, that'd be great if you wanted to talk to us 2 days in a row, but I don't want to take any more time than you're willing to give." And it was almost a warning that you gave about yourself. If you're like, "Oh no. I could go into this with you, but what I heard was, if the opportunity is before me, I'm very likely to give because it presented itself, because it manifested itself.
I think what I said was, I give what I can and not what I can't. I think that's usually my
Okay, all right.
if I'm offering it, then I'm offering it because I can and I want to.
Yes.
I wouldn't offer it if I couldn't. And that doesn't mean I don't have boundaries and I don't have edges and I don't have no's. But yeah, we had an hour's conversation before I joined you in the classroom, and even at the end of that, you were like, I don't know what you do, Lydia, but I still think you should come and talk to my class. And 2 just felt right, because then we could do Wednesday in the way that we did Wednesday, and we can do this like we're doing this. And I know you're more used to a Q&A, so it leaves room for that. But yeah, what do you have were you landing a question around generosity, or are you just wanting me to kind of respond to the idea of it?
And no, we could say that I like the way you put that. We can say that I was landing. I landed.
Just what's my connection to generosity?
Well, you there was which I haven't read yet, but there was that essay that you said something about generosity by Cummings, the gentleman Cummings, and that you were like, which don't take this the wrong way, but it's kind of my Bible. I think that's what you said, and I was like, wow, okay, so this is pretty darn important, and just you've already said it, and that's what you were just talking about. You're just like, I benefit from giving work to other people, which to me is another just kind of generosity aspect. And so It's so very refreshing. I don't know if it's just the accent, but it's an incredibly refreshing discussion that we're having, in that you help people out. That's your job, is to be generous and help people reach their potential in a way that you think, in a way that you channel what they're giving you, and it just happens to be channeled through your filter of artistry. And I'm jealous of whatever it is that you do, and I still don't even know what that is. So it's beautiful.
Then we should work together, Robbie, and then we'll have a better sense.
That's like, yeah, of course.
But how? Because what do you even do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a transatlantic, discussion. But because we can do this, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the essay that you mentioned is by a guy called Neil Cummings, and it's in. Hold on, I have the book, but it's underneath the laptop.
Oh, and do you want me? I still have that thing that you sent. Okay, truth is
completely up to you. You sent me the questions that the class had, and a few quotes by a few different people came to mind, so I popped them into a PowerPoint. But just on this is a book called Truth is Concrete, and before, when you were out of the classroom, we were talking about reflections on Wednesday, and how everyone had been thinking about how nice it was to kind of ponder process rather than product, and ponder thought process over or to think about the artist more than the art, and to think about social implications of art more than the stuff that ends up in galleries. That's what this book is. It was a 6-hour experiment. It was like a constant 24-hour a day conference for 3 days that was all about kind of live art that exists in the world and changes the way that the world happens. And these are all the documents that were created from that. And it's this that's one of my Bibles. I probably have 3 of them. And Neil Cummings' essay is in here. And I mentioned it to Robbie because it's designed to be spoken aloud, and it's really like imperative. It's like, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. Which, when it's about generosity, is kind of hilarious, because it doesn't come across as tender or gentle at all. It's like, do this, give things, give again. Even when you feel like you can't, give more, just give, just do. And I find it a really confronting and challenging essay, because generosity is not easy, right? It's not made societally easy to do, but it's also, it can be physically testing. And if you get so into a habit of generosity without engaging with intentionality with that generosity, then you can just deplete yourself and get rid of it altogether. You know, there is a version of that just looks like giving yourself away and not having anything left. So being generous is a critical process. It's an intentional process. It's not all sunshine, rainbows and butterflies. It's a really beautiful way to live in the world. It's also testing, and you also have to be intentional about what's held back for yourself or taken from others when they're being generous for yourself. It's got to be reciprocal. You've got to receive as much as you give, otherwise, you know, you don't have enough. It's not just that I spend all day being kind to people. There are times where I have to all of my work has to be really boundaried, because otherwise it would inherently just take everything I have, and I wouldn't earn a living, and I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't be well, and my health is perhaps for more people something that I have to think about quite intentionally. My energy is finite, and my health is important to me, and I have priorities like anybody else. So yeah, I think I just want to impress that Neil Cummings' essay sits with me because it feels like an honest ask in thinking about generosity, because it's not completely beautiful. There are lines in it where I go, oh, Neil, really? But I read it again and I revisit it because it's looking to tell me something, or I need to listen to the feeling that it brings up in me, because that's telling me something about my relationship with generosity.
Well, I will read it and share it with them, and now they're all saying they have questions.
Well, like a lot about like generosity, and I was just like looking down at Pierre here, and like generous is like not one of the things we wrote down, and I was just like thinking that like sometimes artists like they really just like want to show off like their own work, and they kind of like don't, not all of them, but like sometimes they're just so focused on their own art, and so I think it's just really inspiring that you're like trying to like change that narrative, trying to like just like change like the way people think about artists and like stuff like that.
Oh, that's really kind of you. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
I think there might not be a narrative of generosity historically, but there is a narrative of stealing. Like there is, it's well known that there are a certain number of ideas really, and that it's very, very difficult to have an original idea now. Everything is influenced by someone or something else, and that's relationship. That's how ideas work, right? So there's nothing bad in that, but it is a slight flip in posture and in thought process to go, oh, what? They're not stealing it from me. I've influenced them. Like, what an honor. They clearly like what I do. And I think those conversations could be different, whilst also being aware of things like intellectual property and ownership of the art. And there's, it's a really tender area, but I think it's more complex. I'm kind of flying the flag for keeping things complex, because as soon as you try and simplify them and make them binary and say, oh, dude, you stole my idea, then you're just shutting down all kinds of possibility. So I think the narrative is there. I just don't think it uses the words that I would.
I saw on a All About You that you're, or as they classified you, a artist, a poet, and a curious listener. I was wondering what a curious listener is.
That's a question. Where did you read that one? Where did you find that? Do you remember? Man, I've been Googled.
It's on her website.
Oh, your website.
Oh, okay. Did I say poet? Really? Writer.
Writer.
Artist.
Okay, cool.
Artist, writer.
So, a curious listener. Lots of my work is about listening. Listening to what people say, but also listening to how a room feels. Listening to, being intentional, being conscious, looking out for things, making connections between things. I very rarely just go for a walk and don't look at things. Like, I'm absorbing all the time. And I added the curious part because I don't just see those things. I ask, oh, why has that piqued my attention today? Or what should I do with that new piece of information? Or, oh, the whole tone of the room changed when that person said that thing. Do I encourage more conversation about that thing, or do I need to change the subject now? Like, I'm kind of light-footed, I guess, and curious about acknowledging, like, responding to things. How can I curiously ask more or divert? When is it right to sit with something? When is it right to move away? When is it right to connect things? When is it right to keep them separate? When is it right just to shut up and sit back and see what happens? So the curiosity thing is like that's the fuel, really. That's the driver. That's one of the threads that goes through everything that I do, whether I'm working with someone one-to-one, whether I'm working with me and some paper, whether I'm working in a room full of 100 people. I'm there because of curiosity, you know. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you consider yourself an introvert? And is that why you're such a good listener?
Yes, I think I'm an introvert on the basis of getting energy back when I'm by myself, and I need a lot of time by myself. But my favorite way to spend energy is with other people. So managing that is something that I have to be a little bit conscious of. And there is a word now, ambivert. I don't know if you've heard of this, where, you know, depending on the day or what's going on, you might prefer to be with people or be on your own. I'm certainly not someone, like, I'm not afraid of speaking to a room as I am right now. But I just think, you know, there are ways in which my experience is marginalized. I'm a woman. I live in a chronically ill body, but I have a lot to gain by listening more than I speak. So I think that's part of it too. But then it's also true to say that if I'm one of the marginalized voices in a room, then I'll carve out space for my voice, and then very, very likely devolve it to someone else as well. I'm not afraid of doing that. But yeah, maybe originally, particularly when I was younger, 13, 15, 17, I was probably doing a lot more listening than talking.
I can relate. That's why.
That's why you asked. Did you spot another one? I think we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Spotted
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was really, really involved in like local politics when I was a teenager. Like 13 to 19, I did a lot of voice and influence work that was about young people having a voice in the area that they lived in. And it was kind of hilarious because I'd physically be there, but my voice wouldn't necessarily be there. But I think I was really carefully watching the sort of power dynamic between decision makers, budget holders, my youth workers, the other young people in the room, and kind of working out, oh, okay, so that's how these rooms work. And then by my early 20s, I was able to hold a room like that and go, okay, you need to shush because these young people have things to say and it's time to listen. And I've seen this happen enough times to know that all these rooms work out this way. So yeah, I may have been quiet, but I was listening and learning, and I use all of that now.
Asher, what were your
Questions?
yeah?
They're on me.
There was one that you had that you assignment. We're looking up the questions that we had.
Yeah, no rush and no pressure. Only ask things you want to, and don't make them up if you don't.
Yeah, Asha was the last one.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
you mind if I speak freely, Asha?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I had them, I said, okay, listen to this assignment, and listen to this interview, and then write down 3 to 5 questions. And if you want, and here's Instagram, and here is website, and don't spend more than an hour. Just to get this as a primer to go. So later that day, I walk into the living room of our home, and Asha says, "This is so frustrating." And I was like, "What? What?" And she's like, "She calls herself an artist, but I can't find any images of her work, and this is, you know." And I was like, "No, it's right there. I'm sure it's right there because there was a part of your website that, but then it wasn't there." And so, and then you just mentioned the printmaking and stuff. And so, she says, "Do you feel your creative outlet in writing makes you more or less inclined to try visual art? And how have you been comfortable with calling yourself an artist?" So I don't know if that. I mean, there's two questions there, but it's also wrapped up in output. Seems to be. This is my question. Output seems to be the driving force. Output being, you are offering yourself as a liaison, as an organizer, and bring me on board, and I'll get results for you through an artistic lens. But you also call yourself an artist and a creator, which I believe that you are. But where's the stuff?
Where's the art?
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't know which one of you had asked that question, and I kind of sensed that it had come from a frustration and then been made nice. Do you know what I mean? Like you'd thrown the clay on the wheel and then made it into a pot so that you could give me the nice thing. But I'm glad that you gave me the context and the frustration, because it's really useful, and it's honest. My Instagram is all images that I took photos of, and there's been care taken in choosing which image has gone with which excerpt of text from my newsletter. So, they're like collages to me. There's all sorts of little interventions that I do in day-to-day life. I leave things in public places for people to find, publications, essays, note cards, that sort of thing. I make.
Wait. What was that? You leave things? Is that just a clever way of saying that you write stuff, put it out there that's accessible, or do you literally leave things in a postcard or something in places, in parks, or
physically in places? Yeah. So, I mean, art looks all kinds of different ways, right? And all of my training and all of my reading and interest and obsession for the last 15 plus years has been in art history and art making and the situationists and all of the movements and the live art and painterly art. And there are concepts wrapped up in painting that can look really different if you then embody that in a physical space. And so that's where all of my my sort of education and interest comes from. And then if I'm writing a report, it's not going to end up looking or sounding like a report if it was written by someone who trained in administration or trained in evaluation processes. I've come up with evaluation processes. I've come up with formats for my reports. I've come up with language that I use for those reports. They're art objects, and I have no shame in saying that, even if they sit on the desk of the director of social services in Leeds City Council. Like it's still an art object to me, and I make them in loose leaf paper so that they can then be thrown across the room as aeroplanes, and all of the lines have been put on the paper to encourage you to turn it into an aeroplane. And all of these small interventions to me are artistic acts and are art objects. My writing practice, it's funny, it's the thing that I put out most regularly, and it's also my longest running job, in that I've been publishing my writing publicly for 4 years now, and I've never been in a job as long as that. So I guess it's the longest running thing. I've always loved words, and I would pack a rucksack as a very, very small child and walk it to the bottom of the garden and sit under the apple tree and just, sit with my pencil poised, like that was going to be where I was going to write the novel that was going to make me famous, and I was 6. So I think I've always found words really delicious. They feel that feeling when you pick the right word and it says what you mean and it means what you say, and it represents the thing that you're trying to talk about. I love that feeling. Like that's the component parts coming together in the right way. Like some people might feel about shaving off a piece of clay and going, I've done it, I've made the nose exactly how I wanted to make it, or oh my goodness, I've mixed exactly the shade of red that I was looking for. Like it's the same feeling for me. And when I started writing publicly, it was as a way of reflecting the curious listener aspects that we were talking about earlier. What am I noticing and listening to that is interesting to me? And in the end, it's ended up functioning as a few things. But one of the things it does is that it becomes marketing for me without doing marketing. I don't have any kind of adverts anywhere. I don't publicize myself in my job roles. I just speak with my voice in a regular way, in a low-key way. And I'm part of people's home life. And then they'll email me a year later and go, oh, I've been reading your newsletter for a year and I really think you should be our evaluator on this project. Or you said that thing 4 newsletters ago about how artists should be in every room. And it just made me think, well, yeah, we need Lydia in this room. So I'm emailing you. Will you come and be in this room? So because people feel they get to know me a little bit, but also they get a sense of what's important to me and the ways in which I work, they then feel able to reach out and talk to me about the possibility of working together. So I wouldn't say that writing makes me feel any more able to call myself or less able to call myself an artist. I just think the kind of artist I am makes me the kind of writer that I am. And I felt very, very shaky about using the word artist for a long time, until I think the tipping point for me was in my early 20s, finding a history and a lineage for exactly the kind of art I wanted to make, and knowing that it had existed on the planet for centuries and people doing that thing had called themselves an artist. And I just had this moment of thinking, well, I'm part of that lineage. I care about it more than anything else. And life's too short to worry about whether I'm using the right or wrong words. Sod it, I'll call myself an artist, and people can just look and think, well, she's one version of what that is, and there are lots of other versions too. So I just don't worry about it too much now, other than caring about representing artists and the artist and artistic integrity as well as I can, because I feel like I'm representing a team, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question? It was a do you feel like your frustration was honored?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have a little more understanding. a lot more.
It's a tricky thing to explain, but I'm trying my best.
Lydia, we have 3 minutes left, and I don't want to get cut off today.
Like last time.
Last time, yes. And I like
mic drop.
I like to I want to take, like, I get them on each side of you. I know you said to take a picture. I know in the picture I sent you before, you said I'm so big, and you
I'm massive.
You're in there, like, so I want to take a picture and then I'll publish the video and blah blah blah. You're right in the middle. That's good. Can you get over there?
Robbie, can you cut out the 3 minutes I spent talking about the big pencil? It really doesn't do great things for my image. Okay, great.
Of course. All right, Lydia, just for the sake of it, can you lower yourself a little bit?
Or like lower the books?
I don't want the top of your head to be cut off. There we go. Okay, everyone say happy pencil.
Happy pencil.
Gotcha. Okay, so you and I will continue a discussion later about class, like not class, but yeah. And then somehow work transatlantically, and we,
of course,
say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so good to meet you all. Thanks for spending so much time with me this week.